Hello and welcome to Artists Among Us. We are your hosts tonight. My name is Jeff Bearhan.
And I'm Grayson Bear.
We are artists, filmmakers, storytellers, and what else are we?
We are also members of the Olympia Film Collective, Olympia's only filmmaking organization dedicated to promoting independent film in the South Sound.
That's right, Grayson. Oli Film has a goal of increasing the role of women and BIPOC in the film industry. This is especially important to me as one of our events is making a short film with our local Indigenous youth at the Intertribal Youth Film Project each summer.
And I cannot wait to help out on that one. When is the next?
I don't know, Grayson. COVID's been a major pain. Major pain.
Major pain. In the meantime, we've got tonight Artists Among Us. Our documentary group wanted to collaborate on a group project with a theme. We decided to focus on the arts in Thurston County, with each filmmaker making a short documentary relating to the arts.
In fact, this is the last of our 4-part series. But can we get a big what?
What? Yes, thanks so much, everyone, for your hard work and dedication to make Artists Among Us a success. Over 10 documentaries have been made and showcased.
But wait, there's more. We have 2 final docs for you tonight. Carving Relief by James Clark and To My Ancestors by Misael Martinez.
Roll 'em, Misa.
And you can see this little curl of wood that's just coming up out of the cut line. Just kind of removing the surface right here, but actually I'm going to have to do quite a lot of work to make the outer relief pretty deep. I'm Neil Peck. I'm a wood engraver and printmaker. I love birds and animals and the mountains of the Pacific Northwest. And so starting from photographs of those, I'll try to work into an image that I like. I got started through making Christmas cards. That was a thing that my parents did when I was a child and really influenced me a lot. Get started with the third impression of a 4-impression print here for a Christmas card. And unfortunately, overall, this process has not been going as great as I would like. I didn't really get started doing my own until I was almost 40. Garrett had just been born, my son. It was in 2009, and that was the year right after my father died. I just began to put some love and energy into a thing that I had always loved and wanted to do. I've been doing it now for 10 years, and it's been good. My mother would bring out the art books, and they would talk about themes, and then my mother generally would get to work doing the drawing for the design. So she would do that. She would do that drawing to create the the reversed image on a linoleum block, and then my father, in spite of his shaky hands, which he also passed down to me, would get to work with the carving and carve out the design, and then he would also do the the inking and printing. Benign familial tremor. It just is a little arrhythmia in the nervous system, but it's never really stopped me from being able to do the engraving. So I often find that I start from the eyes in any image that's got them. You know, this block that I've been working on with Simon, well, we'll have to see. Sort of some gradient lines, you know, in his fur, like one right, you know, right across here between the two legs. And then there's this, you know, kind of a rough, you know, his neck ruff line. The main place to see my work now is the Artist Gallery in Olympia. I've been a member there since last June, and you know, that's really kind of my permanent display place.
The newest it could be is 1929, but it's probably somewhere, I think it's probably somewhere in the 1920s, would be my guess. It's pretty good, so.
My favorite subject overall is my granddaughter, Jamie Ellen, and I'm very happy to have produced, you know, a couple of good prints that that feature her.
It's pretty good, so you're going to trade in the... actually, they're both okay. Well, yeah. Take your pick. Ink up another one and see if it comes out a little bit better.
What's a real life situation that inspired you?
Not this question. I feel like all these questions are tricky. I know. Okay. People are exposed to a lot more art than they think they are. And, you know, there's so many parts to design that are based in art. I mean, even just like a simple object like a pencil has a certain quality to it. We need artists to vision the future and also to be looking at our past and our present and how all those things are connected. We help to imagine and make visible the things that are not visible. I'm not sure people think about it enough. Art, for me, is a way to move things through. It's a way of seeing the world and expressing what you see. Through my work, I've been thinking a lot about identity. I mean, when I decided I was going to really go towards this, being an artist, I needed something to make work about. My identity, especially being biracial, seemed like a place that I had so much to think about in that area of my life. And so really for a long time, that was the central focus of my work. My lines, my ancestral lines hold so much history of this country, what we've been through. I have like slaveholders and I have slaves. What does it mean to hold those stories in your body. I feel like my work in a lot of its iterations, like towards the beginning, really was like grappling with whiteness. But now it's moving toward like something different where I recognize I'm light-skinned and I recognize what that means for me. And then the moment I started to challenge that more and more and more, it was so clear that that barrier exists to people who are darker or people who challenge the system. Now I identify as a mixed Black person. Like, I identify as Black, but it is actually the way I feel. Because I don't have any shame about being Black. I love that I'm Black. And there's also like a political stance about saying you're Black and what it means to like be part of the struggle, because there's a long line of people fighting. I want the work to have almost feel like it has a soul or like it has a life. I think about hair as a connection to our ancestors. Our DNA is in our hair. Also, I tend to put people in situations or with parts that are not like close to reality somehow. They deviate from reality somehow, sort of magical realism. The process for figuring out what the work is going to be is a little bit more variable. There are these moments with artwork where my self has been like stopped and I can move with that work in a different way than most things. A lot of times there's kind of a nugget of an idea that will come from touch drawing or some other paragraph writing, some other process-oriented work that is meant to draw out whatever wants to come through or whatever I'm thinking through at the moment. And it will get at a way of showing it somehow. When I go into those spaces, I try to let go of expectations about what might come out. But in those spaces, I feel very just open. People will call it like dropping in, dropping down. I feel like what I'm channeling is maybe ancestral. It's an interesting way to work. In that way, it's exciting and like challenging and interesting, always interesting. I had an art teacher once who said, all artists want to be immortal. That's why they make art. I'm like, that is not true. Art changes lives. I guess I would hope that through some interaction with one of my pieces somewhere, that someone would have some kind of shift in their brain, whatever that is, or their body. I guess I hope that there are people who are moved by it and maybe moved to stop and think, or even moved to just experience and hold something, call forth something in their body. So there's a piece that's called Lens, and that's what that piece is trying to get at, is like no matter how many times you try to discard your lenses, your point of view, you always will see through or experience through those ways. And it's kind of awesome that there are people who experience the world in different ways. That's actually our strength. And to only value your own way is really limiting. So we're limiting ourselves to the possibilities. I think my work does something different. I feel like I'm part of a stream of people who are really engaged in moving forward in a good way. And so I think my work just feeds into that stream, and we need art to be the visual part of that stream. And what we do now needs to be reflective of the past.
Yay, that was so good. So good.
good. Yeah, I agree. Let's invite the artists among us. We have James Clark, Neil Peck, Aisha Harrison, and Miseo Martinez.
Come on in, people, artists among us. There's one, there's two, there's three, there's four. Awesome. Welcome to the
Alrighty.
show, everyone.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hi.
welcome.
Hi.
How is everyone doing?
Doing well. Thank you.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's
great
such
to
a
have
good.
you guys.
Yeah, so it's we'll just get right into this. I was pretty amazed by the efforts tonight by the filmmakers to showcase your work, and I think they did an excellent job. I have a question for Neil.
Yeah.
I was nervous watching you.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, there's one point where you're like pushing into the wood, and your finger was like right there. And
Right there, yeah.
I only bring that up because I have a massive scar right there for the last time I did that, and I basically almost sliced my finger off.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, you are a pro judging by what actually came from that. I mean, it's amazing, the little intricate design work. I don't know how it's like seeing the side-by-sides with the block and the print next to it. That I wasn't expecting it to look so amazing. I didn't know what to expect. But how long does it take to carve a block?
Takes anywhere from generally weeks to, I mean, sometimes it's months, but that's mostly because sometimes I just feel blocked and, I just don't work on it. But it always takes weeks, and it's a very slow process.
Yeah,
I can
weeks.
imagine.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, incredible. It was amazing to get to see your behind the scenes process of some of your work. I know I'm super inspired by your process. Are any of your kids or grandkids interested or inspired to go into engravings or printmaking?
Well, not as yet, really. I mean, my son has done some linoleum cut carving, and well, my granddaughter is, a very, just a very prolific and talented drawer, and I've kind of hoped at times that she would maybe want to learn how to do engravings so she could, make multiples of some of the wonderful drawings that she does, but we haven't really worked that out yet. And she's about 15 now.
Awesome.
I saw that one of the kind of poignant moments, Neil, in the doc was when you were talking about your nervous arrhythmia, or your shaky hands, what you call, I guess, passed down from your father. But I mean, how has that been, I guess, a hindrance to you, or has it been help? Has it shaped your art in a way, or influenced it in some way, or made you unique?
I don't think so. I mean, it would probably, I mean, I'd probably be better if I could give up drinking coffee and things like that. But it's just one of those things that I do have to do to deal with it, and sometimes I probably usually the shakes are a little bit worse in the morning. They get better toward the evening, so I kind of have to plan my day around that. But it's just never really stopped me.
It doesn't seem to. I mean, because the work you're making is beautiful. I mean, the prints that come out of that, and I mean, that's amazing. So I mean, obviously it's not a hindrance to you, and you're very successful at what you do because you're making beautiful art.
Yeah. Very happy with it.
Are you
family? We get Christmas cards that he carves every year, and we all look forward to them. They're decorating the stairs, and it's very well loved.
Mm-hmm.
I was just going to ask that. It's almost that time of the year.
Yeah, and I'm always behind on it, but I'm going for it. getting a Christmas card for the year.
So where can we find these Christmas cards if we want to buy some, I guess, for this next season?
Well, the place where I have my art on sale available is at the Artist Gallery in West Olympia, and there are some Christmas cards in there. I also do have an online store on the Etsy.com, but there's several Christmas cards that I've done that are available there, but the whole collection of them is one that James Smother has done a great job of saving them, and so they're just part of the family stuff there.
Let's ask a question of the filmmakers. James, one thing I noticed about the doc was somewhat different. You didn't include any music in it. It's almost like a staple, Why? What was your decision behind that?
I tried adding some music tracks, and music has such a powerful influence on emotion or the tone of a thing. And I didn't try that many tracks before I decided to just leave it without music. And part of the reason is I just love his rich, deep voice. And I also sometimes, this has happened just recently, is I've kind of started to, resent is too strong a word, but I guess I've started to appreciate media and films that let you have some silence and don't try to cover up the transitions with a score that doesn't really stick. I have a subscription to a music database that has thousands and thousands, maybe millions of tracks, but I was satisfied with the way it came out. And I keep going back and forth on that. Sometimes I feel like I should have included music, but it's just a choice.
Yeah, awesome. I love hearing about artists' decisions with their work. Another decision that really intrigued me, Neil, was that you mentioned that you start your engravings with the eyes. If the image has eyes in them, why do you start with the eyes?
Um, it just has always seemed to me, well, there's this kind of a practical reason that if you screw those up, you may as well throw the block away and start over. Because they're just never going to look right. But also, though, it's just kind of a way to, to get an initial focus on the image and to just build out from there. That's just always how it seemed to me.
Awesome.
Speaking of
That's
eyes,
so funny because I never start with the eyes. It's just funny.
well,
That's the last thing I do.
well, Aisha, you're the one that says you are making visible what is invisible.
Love that.
And I do love that too, but could you maybe go into it? I mean, what are we not seeing?
Well, I guess what I mean is I'm thinking about our connections. So we don't really see our lines, I guess, going back and forward even through time. And so I am thinking, and I try to talk about and express those lines. I'm also thinking about like emotional things, and emotion is one of those things we don't see necessarily. I mean, obviously, if somebody's boo-hooing, we see that they're crying, but we can't. I'm really trying to get at like, what is it? How could I tangibly express what it would feel like for my ancestor who went through so many things, right? And so that hollow, carved out tummy with the exposed ribs and the graves on her back, that is trying to make tangible the sort of intangible.
Definitely.
Incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great response. Neil, do you resonate with this statement at all about making visible the invisible?
I think that's more on my list of aspirations. In spite of the fact that I've been doing this for for about 10 years, I still have really a pretty small output of, total works. And, I've been thinking for a long time about how to, what kind of larger themes I could incorporate. But my images are really small. And so, usually I'm just trying to, capture, just trying to capture a really good composition and just to put a lot of love into it and, hope that'll come through to the people who see it.
Yeah, definitely.
How do you choose? I mean, well, how do you both choose I guess the subject or theme or whatever the next project is, because you're going to be on it for a while, right?
Oh yeah.
How do you get that first inspiration to do it?
Well, oftentimes I'll just see, one of the my favorite print of all time is this one called Field of Daisies, and my daughter Tara just took this picture of her of her daughter and her friend striding out into this field, and it had a composition to it that it's like, yes, I want to do that. I want to take my shot at rendering that image, developing it, and and so for in doing that, it really it turned out to be mostly about working out, how to represent the grass, and just kind of the randomness of the way that different blades of grass and flowers bend in the field, and yet there's also kind of a wave-like symmetry of it, and so that really turned out to be kind of the crux of the image to me. But it was just kind of a natural attraction, and others take a little more work to get to get a composition right, so that it will fit in a block, a relatively small area that I can work on, and that's kind of a limitation, but I try to find what it is that can specially be done within the medium of relief carving, that that can make it interesting, that can make it special. And I would like to maybe do more like series of related images, and that would be the way to like actually get to some deeper themes. But that's kind of on the to-do list right now.
Can I ask a
Misha?
question?
Go ahead. Yeah, this is wide open.
I guess it's more of a appreciation or observation. When the images of your sculptures first come through, and you haven't quite talked about having ancestors who were both slave and slave master, and talking about whiteness. And as the documentary went on, there's just so much to absorb in your work. You and the one with the hair that comes down into the forehead. There's so much to interpret in that. How like my initial thought is how hair is a part of your ancestry or your existence and who you are. But there's this is just me looking at the art and having thoughts, and then the whiteness on you, like almost like ash from a volcano that you just can't get off, or it's just got so much to think about, and it just makes me think about how you can sit in front of a piece and just stare at it for almost endlessly, and it's something that just occupies your headspace. Because I've seen this video before, just because Misa's been sharing it with us, and some of those images have really stuck in my head, and it's just powerful, and I don't really know what to say other than just beautiful.
Wait until you see the pieces right in front of you, so they get they get there. So I feel that.
Yeah, Misa, you did a great job.
That's a loud message. So.
Yeah, Misa, you did a great job, I thought, in the production of this documentary. Yeah, I noticed the great care you took in capturing Aisha's work. Like the moving imagery was really great, lovely. Can you tell us a little bit about your production and how you prepared for it?
I will say, so our family, we know each other for some time now. So I have been able to see some of her pieces. So this project was like a two-part project because I needed some pictures for her, like websites, or like to put that out. So, and at the same time, the Olympia Film Collective documentary group were putting this project together. So it was like I approached Aisha, it's like, do you want to make the pictures and the video? Are you open to be part of this documentary for this whole project? And she said yes. And I will say probably the part of preparing is taking a look at each one of the pieces. Try to bring out that like that message, that imagery on video. Make sure that is as close as impactful as when you see them right in front of you. So yeah, and So I wanted to make sure that the message Aisha is trying to communicate when she making the pieces, that message will stay still for the length of the video.
Yeah.
Great.
Are there any
I think that-
pieces in particular you wanted to make sure you got in your documentary?
I will say at the moment that we were filming, so we got like I think one of the main ones that for me was more impactful was the lady with gloves in her back. Aisha is working that one to cast that one on bronze, right, Aisha?
Yes, I'm working to get it cast. Yeah.
So we were privileged to be present to that process and like a move and work around that piece and see. So there's an intimacy between Aisha and her pieces that that I think is there.
I think so too. Aisha, is can you tell me a little bit about when you're setting out to create? Do you discover it while you're working with the material, or is it a message that you hope to communicate, and then that informs the way you shape the clay? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. So generally speaking, I do some kind of deep dives first when I'm trying to figure out, and usually I think of like a series of pieces kind of all at the same time. And then it just takes me a really long time to make all of them. And so I do a couple of different processes that are very internal, but they also allow for kind of a deeper connection to the ancestral plane, I would say. And thinking about what we want to leave for our descendants as well. And so, anyway, I just start with kind of a journaling process called Progoff journaling, intensive journaling method, but I've altered it for my own use. And then I also do that touch drawing that you saw that Misa put in there. I thought that was a really great way of using that to show what I do, because I do let those images come up and just bubble up. And that's all very process oriented. And so, like what you were asking, those images just come and come and come. And there's like, when I do a series of those drawings, it'll probably be I do 15, 20, 30, 40 drawings at a time. And they're very, they have I don't have any connection to them. I mean, I'm connected to them, but I don't feel like they're precious. They're not precious. But then I go and I write titles for them, or I go and I do Progoff journaling with them, and then I go talk to the ancestors about them. And so there's like a whole process of how the things get developed. And a lot of times I'll make a piece based on one of those drawings. Maybe I'll make a carving, because I do carving as well. Or I'll make another drawing, or I'll make a small piece, and then I'll go do some more work about it, and then it will come out again in a different way, or maybe more developed. So like the piece with the braid that goes into the head that you were talking about, there's a drawing that goes with that. That's like one of those kind of quick drawings, and then there's a carving that goes with that. There's the sculpture, and there's a print. So there's all kinds of stuff, and they all are different, but they have kind of a similar root. So I'll think of I won't even think of it. It's hard to say I think of it, because I don't. It's like it like comes through the drawings and the writing, and then when it's there, then I'm like, okay, that's the one. That's one of the kernels. I'm gonna try to make this like overarching theme feeling, and then there's all of these little parts that have to happen to make it all come together.
Yeah, those press drawings are like your rough draft, and then you just make iteration after iteration in different mediums. Yeah, that's. I imagine you end up with a collection but you could even say like this is a collection focusing on this, but it's just individual attempts at showing the same thing over and over again. That's so cool.
I mean, I think a lot of artists do that, right? Like they have, like I have a theme in my work about saying the wrong thing, for example, and you can see it pop up in all different pieces, but so yeah, I think that's actually pretty common that artists rework things after we learn about them through making, right? So I'm a huge proponent of learning by making, like through the actual act. So you can't like think your way through it. You actually have to do it.
Yeah.
So we have a couple of viewers questions actually from YouTube. I'm not sure who this is for. They didn't say, but they asked, it's Kathy, do you often work from photographs?
Are you asking
That's
me?
for either of you, I guess.
Maybe both of us. I don't know. I almost always work from photographs. Once I have the pose figured out, because that's a whole other thing that's about bodies and all kinds of stuff. And so that's once I get the pose figured out, then I take pictures in the round, and I have lots and lots of reference photos in the round, and that's what I work from.
Pictures in the round. 14-2. Oh God, I'm sorry, I haven't. Oh, yeah, cool.
So the figures we saw in the documentary, are those real people?
Yeah, they're all based on real people.
Okay.
But like faces, I feel like when I do faces, I often am looking at my pictures of my family. I look at books of people from, slavery times or even, Reconstruction. Like I just look at books for different people's faces. I just look all around and try to find, because I feel like there's so many ancestors. I don't know what they look like. And my white ancestors too. I don't know what they look like. And so I just kind of, if I'm attracted to someone's face in a picture, I'll use some aspect of their face. Like the woman with graves at her back, she's like a compilation of so many people. Yeah, all of them really.
Yeah, I really enjoyed your what you said about identity and how it plays into your work. Obviously, the Black Lives Matter movement has had such an impact, and recently in our society, in our community. I mean, has that movement influenced the way that people now view your pieces, or has it had an effect at all?
That's an interesting question.
Well, I assume you probably made these before, I guess your statements
I've been
on
making
race.
this work for a long time.
Yeah, exactly. So
Black lives have always mattered to me. I think the thing that I've noticed is that I get asked more to do stuff since Black Lives Matter. And that's an interesting thing. And I'm very light. So I would encourage folks to ask the people who are maybe not getting asked right now. Just putting it out there.
One thing that I will have to add is that although we did this interview before the whole like protest movement that happened with the summer. I started editing this like right more or less about that moment, and I think that shows up in the way I managed to put the story together. So I will say, so it encouraged me like to make sure that this to keep this message around at all times. So yeah, I think for me it helped me in the whole process to keep the scope on the subject and not to deviate from like to other stuff.
So I don't want to lose this last question from a viewer, Patrick, from YouTube. He says, "Great work, guys. What led to both of you choosing these subjects for your docs? I guess that's for the filmmakers.
Okay, so in my case, so like I said, so our family is very good friends with Aisha's family. So, but having seen what her artwork, I think it was like okay, and having the opportunity of doing pictures for her, I think that was like I felt that was that like there was like something good there even before getting to her studio. So yeah, we were right. So it was a lot, and it turned out beautifully.
I did a little profile on my father 2 or 3 years ago. Maybe it was just 2 years ago. There was a summer where we had this giant swarm of bees. Honeybees can swarm when they leave their nest. It's not a good place, and the queen wants to go somewhere else. So the whole hive follows her, and it's just this like basketball-sized bundle of bees that was just on the fence in our front yard. My dad's a beekeeper. It's more of a hobby for him, so he has 2 or 3 hives typically. So he went out there to capture it, but this hive was huge. It was probably twice the size of a typical swarm. And I had just gotten these cameras, which are old. They're Panasonic GH2, so they're like from 2011 or 2012, but they're is new and exciting. So I set up my cameras and documented the experience of him trying to capture this hive. And I didn't have any intentions of making it into a documentary. It was really just me experimenting with the cameras. But after it was all done, I had a nice collection of shots, and I thought I could do a nice little profile where I interview my father and lay that track over the top. And so I interviewed him, and I just really enjoyed the experience of when I was done. I had like this 2-minute, maybe 3-minute piece that just had a little window into my father that that no one really gets to see, and it made me feel good watching it. Made me feel good sharing it with him and sharing it with the family. And so I guess that's where it started. And I thought about, once this project came along, the Artists Among Us project, I thought about who I could do a similar profile on, try to make it longer. And Neil is just a great subject, someone I have had in my life for my entire existence. And I really appreciate his work. And when I look at the carvings and I look at the block prints are beautiful. But then when I look at the actual blocks with the ink stains on them and the work, like just the effort that goes into them, they just look so beautiful to me. And so I asked Neil if he was willing to give it a try. I'm not someone who has a lot of experience with filmmaking, so I needed to make sure I had a subject who was patient with me, and Neil made himself available, I think, every time I asked. And it was probably six times I visited him to film, and he was always very gracious and welcoming.
I have to make a footnote, and kudos to James. He's the only filmmaker that did 2 projects for this whole ensemble series.
Oh.
And second, when you told me the gear you showed me the gear that you were using, and then I saw the video, it's like, whoa, you're like getting a lot out of that gear. So I think that it's amazing to see that you were able to put 2 productions to put yourself on the spot and being able to successfully complete 2 amazing films.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's an
the other project, I had the help of like all of the OFC and their excellent cameras. Like we had C200s and A7s, and that was not my camera work. This one was my camera work. I have 2 of these GH2. which then
But
made
it
it
was
more
your brains. It was your brains behind the other one. So
yeah,
The best camera is the one you have.
exactly.
yeah.
I really appreciate these cameras.
And it's so true. And I'm so glad that that everyone participated in this film project to document art in Thurston County. And I'm not sure if this is the last installment of the Artists Among Us series, the fourth one. And I'm not sure we actually ever asked this question, but what is art? What is art for you? I mean, this might be the last thing you might say on the subject, at least until we do another one. But let's just go around and tell us, what is art for you and why do you pursue it?
Who are you asking?
All of you. You're all artists.
All at once. Let's answer all at once.
Go ahead, James. You take the floor.
Okay,
Love. Oh gosh, what is art? Art is anytime you're trying to express something that that words just won't do it. But then poetry, art is just expression. It's life and experience, and it's. I feel like it's one of the most powerful things. And people who don't appreciate art, I don't think give it. They don't understand how powerful it is. But it has the potential to influence people very subtly, consistently, and I think it can have such a great positive impact on the world when people, artists, creating things with the intention of creating inspiration, of helping people have hope. I mean, there's no limit on it. Art is just another part of the human experience, and I don't feel like it's something that anyone is prohibited from. It's available to all of us, and I think it's something that people should. I feel like it's something that everyone should experience firsthand, a creating process. I mean, everyone does. Even people who don't consider themselves to be artists, I feel like, are creating all the time. That rambling answer, that's art.
What's art for you, Neil?
Well, quite similar to what James said there. It's really just focusing on something that is out there in your experience that you see, and trying just applying some love to it, or love or thought or discipline to it, in order to bring out some essential qualities of it, and of course also to show some kind of connection that it has. That would be a very great kind of artistic input. But really it it encompasses just about all of life, and it's really just kind of stopping to look at something and making it into something that someone else will stop to look at, and and hopefully be affected, maybe even be changed by the experience of seeing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Aisha?
Yeah, all that. Yeah, I always talked about art with students when I was teaching, that art was about communication. And so it's communication of something. It can be, like I was saying in the documentary, as simple as like the way a pencil is designed. It has to be that way for certain reasons, right? And that's a communication of how to use it. So I always talk about it being a communication, but I love the other things. I love the idea of connection also, and that art can move I mean, it can move societies to do things right differently. It can imagine futures. It's very versatile and can do and be everything.
I will say art is self-expression in function of vulnerability. You need to be vulnerable to be an artist. Also, there's bravery. You need to be brave to say or print or film or paint or do poetry about what you have in your mind. And at the end, this all of this ends in like an emotional connection with your audience, with your public. So I think those four words would be like what's art for me: self-expression, bravery, vulnerability, and emotional connection.
Connection, definitely. I think you all mentioned that word, and that's really, I would say that that's it. I mean, art has brought us here together tonight, and it's brought this documentary group together. It's brought together the Olympia Film Collective, and together we get to share and feel, and really that's what I think is just being able to, you know, not only feel yourself but also push that out to other people, and we feel together. I don't know how that sounds, but it's true. And thank you so much for being here. It's been really awesome. Thank you all to Amisa and James for putting yourselves out there and making these documentaries, and they turned out great. Neil and Aisha, thank you for participating in this. It's been such a wonderful documentary series by the Olympia Film Collective. I've had such a great time hosting, and thank you for showcasing your wonderful subjects through your own personal lenses.
Jeff, thank you so much for hosting. Grayson, thank you so much for hosting. Both of you did such a great job today. It was good seeing both of you at the beginning of
just to make sure that anybody watching wants to connect with the art of the artists. Do you want to just kind of put your website out there or whatever it is? I saw that I'm AishaHarrison.com, right? That's where you can go to look at your art and possibly purchase something.
Yeah, and if you want to help me get Women with Graves at Her Back and Prayer for Shinandam Creek, those cast into bronze, there's a link right at the top of my website that takes you to the GoFundMe page. So I'm not that far short anymore. So if you can spare a couple bucks, I think that would be awesome.
Excellent.
Right there at the top.
How can people find you? And you have your Christmas cards coming out at the Artists Gallery?
Well, there'll definitely be some there. But I don't really have I don't have a personal website that's up yet. But you can. Basically, if you Google Neil Peck, you'll find my Etsy store and see, you'll be able to see all my work and the prints that I have there.
Great, we look forward to. Go ahead.
You can see my work at the South Sound Community College. They have a show up right now. It's of Black artists of Olympia, and there's also some work from my collective, the collective that I'm part of, in that show too. So.
Is it open currently during COVID or the new?
It's open for COVID. You just got to make an appointment. So you just go to their website, and you can just type like South Sound Community College. There's the show. Yeah, Futures Rising, and then you just make an appointment with the gallery. Yep. So that's some of the work that's in the show. And then there's other pieces that the collective that I'm part of called the Blackwell Red Thread Collective. We have we have a one piece in that show. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. And make sure you guys all reach out to these artists. We really appreciate you guys sharing your artwork with us. Thank you again for joining us tonight and on this journey. And on behalf of Oli Film and the arts community, thanks for adding to our kaleidoscope of color.
Thank you, guys.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for watching.
Bye, everyone.
Good night.
Bye. Bye-bye. Mm-mm-mm.
Art has always kind of been a part of my life. One of my favorite things is sharing my stories through my work. I have realized that my textiles influence my mixed media paintings, and my mixed media paintings influence my textiles. There's art everywhere. You just have to see it before you can start making it.
I love birds, animals, and the mountains. Making Christmas cards. That was a thing that my parents did when I was a child. I didn't really get started doing my own until I was almost 40. My son had just been born right after my father died. I just began to put some love and energy into a thing that I had always loved and wanted to do.
Stand-up comedians in Olympia, Washington.
I was terrible, but something about it was like, I have to keep going. It was like crashing on your bike every time.
Give me the giant one.
Y'all know what the worst part of jail is? They won't even let you leave.
Laughter, it makes me feel like I'm surviving.
Wow, I don't want to go next.
I turn to her dad and I'm like, you fucking bum.
Audiences aren't actually trained professionals.
My shrink does have an open mic.
You seem like a troubled individual, and I'm here to help. I'm white and I have money.
Is stand-up comedy art?
What is art?
No. It's therapy.
I would like to think that Mason is benefiting from my art.
Or you can maybe put tape on this in my own.
Whatever makes him happy.
I am a single mother, a poet, and an activist, and a mystic.
This poem is for Pops, who tells me stories.
So my daughter, Olivia, she is smart and beautiful. I've always tried to involve her in ways that are positive and safe for her as kind of a process of growth.
We need artists to vision the future and also to be looking at our past. I've been thinking a lot about identity. Being biracial seemed like a place that I had so much to think about. But now it's moving toward like something different because there's a long line of people fighting. What I'm channeling is ancestral. It's an interesting way to work.
I started making a chair because that's what I'd always done, is make furniture. And the guy at the next bench was making wood sculpture. And I was so fascinated with watching his process that one day I took apart what I was making into a chair and turned it into a sculpture. This actually has a way that it kind of fits with the body, a style of sculpture that looked like they could be tools.
I click with everybody. My mom's like, I've never met a stranger before.
I sing literally all the time. I just remember being on the stage and like we heard the beat.
Like just more conversational.
Let's go through it again.
Okay, just look at me and smile.
One, two, three.
A show will end on a Sunday. The artist will pick up Monday. We will strip the room, hatch, repaint. Then the new artist comes in Monday afternoon. And then it's like a puzzle.
And a wonderful relationship with the Childhood Zen Gallery. People know that this belongs to them. It's almost as if I have them for a while and then they have to get to where they belong.